Okay, here is something fun. I did a drawing, one of my automatic drawings, and this time I did it digitally so that I could record it. It is different drawing it digitally for sure. I have to play around with the different brush options until I find one that, I don't know, is a little more intuitive. I had to mess around with it a little bit. But yeah, this is just going straight at it. Automatic drawing, reacting to what's in front of me. The drawing itself. I have no reference. I'm just drawing. I'm not asking why. I'm just letting my eyeballs tell me what they want to see. This is incredibly helpful. This channels a certain kind of energy that frees me up to do other kinds of work that typically would be undermined by just the pressure of creative energy inside of me. This slows me down and makes my eyes activate, and what it really does is it really helps me to enjoy the tedious parts of the work. Because it's drawing. Drawing's just fun. For some reason, my dyslexic brain can draw all day long and never get tired. But this kind of drawing, especially, is since it's not conceptually driven. It's purely formal. It's purely visual. There's no real story. There's not even anything that's, really a character or highly representational. It's kind of surreal abstraction. It forces me to be patient and not, really actually enjoy just making the marks. That's what this does. So it's a very therapeutic exercise. It's a process focused kind of art, but I think that it creates really some interesting end results, even though I'm not really thinking about what it's going to be when it's done while I'm drawing. I'm just thinking about what I want to do to make it look interesting. And one thing I do think about a lot as I'm drawing is making things separate from each other, because this is a black and white ink style drawing, and things tend to sort of collapse in on themselves, and it becomes very busy and very disorienting. So I want it to be busy, and I want it to be disorienting, but I do want to control. I don't want that to be spatially disorienting. I want things to come forward and things to go back. So you see me do a little bit of shading, a little bit of playing around with values in here, trying to figure out how to get things to separate from each other. I'm a very, call it, naturalistic artist. I'm not a super architectural or a super patterny type artist. I like organic forms. I like twisting, turning, moving, anatomical type stuff. I like landscapes. I like epic spaces. I love huge things in the distance and creating a sense of scale. These are the kinds of things that visually are fun for me. So this is, my stuff, because of the fact I tend to draw in a more landscapey way, and I tend to draw in a more figurative, kind of organic form kind of way. I have to deal with space more. I actually have to make light, create some sense of light. I can't just do overlapping patterns. At least I haven't had good luck with that. I wrestled a lot in this one, trying to get sort of the larger sort of value composition to work for me. It kept wanting to collapse back and go flat again. But these drawings are really interesting to me because I've always, you know, I've always really wanted there to be narrative and recognizable stuff in my work. I've never really connected with abstract work as something that I particularly enjoy just looking at. I really appreciate, you know, abstraction as like an exercise to better understand visual phenomena, but as an end result, it's a little, well, it's a little abstract for me. I'm a little bit more concrete of a person in the way that I think, in the way that I see. And that's probably an issue of me just not being super subtle. I'm not a super subtle person. I'm a little bit blunt in my personality. So this is really interesting because it's definitely abstraction chant style. But it does, even though it's not a purely formal abstraction, I'm really actually playing with real world textures and structures. Because what I do is this really feels like wringing out the sponge of my brain. That's what an exercise like this does to me. Is like my brain is so wrung out by the end of this. I have stretched it as hard as I can to figure out how to bring diversity of line and texture and shape and value into this, that when I walk around after this, it's like, whoa, it's almost like being on psychedelics. I'm so dialed into the textures and the patterns and the materiality of the world around me. So saving. Definitely want to save stuff when you work digitally. Nothing worse than having it deleted. I don't know. I'm considering doing a lot more of these type of things. I think I really am enjoying this. It's really, the end result is really satisfying. And another big part of what this does is it frees me up to, this is not a justifiable exercise beyond the therapeutic benefit. It's not like, there's any kind of transcendent message that's being communicated through something like this. It's something that's pleasant. It's fun to do. It's fun to share. And that's very liberating. It's liberating to be able to just do it and not question if it's good, if it's not good, if it means something, if it's a good meaning. Like, it's just like, just do what looks right and just do it. That's really helpful because I tend to put a lot, like way too much pressure on the stuff that I create to be good. And there's, a big part of that is just because I have limited time to work. I don't have a lot of time to work on stuff. That's just my own creativity. I with a family. So it's like I want everything I do to be amazing, but art is just such a messy, iterative process. You can't just sit down and generate something profound in a single gesture. And so, I don't know, doing something like this just lifts a lot of pressure. Because I know when I sit down, it's not going to be profound or make any kind of sublime statement about the universe. It's more of a ritual. It's more of an exercise. It's a discipline. It's a muscle building activity, and that's intrinsically valuable. So it just pulls a lot of the pressure off the content to be meaningful, and the action of making the work becomes meaningful. And whatever image is generated is kind of a byproduct of the process. That's very counterintuitive to the way I normally work. Typically I have, with my professional work, it's corporate communications. There's a very specific message that needs to be conveyed from the outset, and everything is measured against that. Whereas this kind of work, there is nothing that needs to be communicated. It is simply the act of creating. It's the exercise of creating. So it's a really nice compliment to the kind of stuff I typically do.